I think this is a really big game for us. Back on the road, we've had a very successful stretch here at home. 3 home games in the last 4 weeks with an open date sandwiched in there. I think our football team has continued to get better. I think we got to be able to take this product on the road. The last time we were on the road, we really got ourselves into an uphill dogfight down at Hampton. I think this football team's a better football team than that team was 5 or 6 weeks ago. So we're looking forward to the opportunity. I think that there's no doubt that the outcome of last week's game up there when Rhode Island controlled the Delaware game to win 20-0. A week after Delaware had beaten William and Mary, certainly gets your attention, and we got to continue to focus in on the significance of this football game. We had an experience up there 2 years ago where we had a hard-fought defeat. I think it was 12-10, 4 field goals. So we certainly recognize the circumstances that can create that kind of an outcome. So we're working really hard here this week to hone in on the details, the specifics, to have that edge that you need to have when you're traveling on the road in conference play. I have recognized as the season has progressed that Rhode Island's getting better. Their opening game up at Syracuse was skewed significantly. It almost seems as if with each progressing week they have made improvement. They had Maine, I think, the week before we had Maine, and that was a 27-17 game, I believe, was the final. So we have seen them progress, and then to their credit, Coach Fleming's credit, they were able to, kind of turn the worm there and finish off a game and get a nice conference win at home. So we've got a work cut out for us, but certainly excited about how we have positioned ourselves and certainly excited about this opportunity.
Hey, with 4 of the next 5 on the road, do you prep differently? Do you cut back any? Do you change your routine in order to allow these guys to maybe rest a little more or prepare differently?
Yeah, I think, John, first of all, we have a fall break this week, which is something that was very much on our radar, my radar, in August. So I knew when the open date was. I knew when the fall break was. So it's not as significant as a week off or anything like that, but our student athletes all had the majority of their finals last week. So this week, with no school on Monday and Tuesday, it did create a little window of rest. We had a different schedule, no doubt, here the first couple days of the week. Monday was a player's day off. Tuesday, we had a different schedule. So to your point, I do think that we should be a rested football team here heading out for this one in particular with good focus and good edge. I've kind of looked at the back end of the season as 2 3-game pods where we're away, home, and away, home. So I think it's going to be critical that we are able to be successful this weekend. And then I think moving onward from that, John, I'll probably handle things a little more kind of week to week to assess where I think our football team is. In general, as you get deeper and deeper into the season, you do cut back a little bit on the volume of work that you do. But some opponents don't really allow you that luxury as they offer a lot of different things to deal with. But I do think with the fall break being Monday and Tuesday, our guys had a really good day's work yesterday. I thought we had a little additional film time. They were around each other a lot in the building here as we had to serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I feel real good about where we're at, and we're going to have to build on that heading through the course of the week.
Coach, how much do you take from your one common opponent, what you were able to do here against Maine and what they were not able to do up there?
Yeah, I don't take too much. I think that what we were able to do here against Maine was somewhat the perfect storm on our end in terms of how that game was played out. And again, I'm not taking any credit away from our kids or our coaches, but that game went in our favor, and we did some things to force the issue. But I can't put too much stock in that. I tell you, to be honest with you, I'm almost done putting stock in the common opponent theory. There's this game is so week to week, and especially when you're in conference play, I believe, week to week, home away, just the dynamics are so different. So if you start thinking that you can draw some conclusions from an outcome of another game, I think it's very difficult. Now, we do look at matchups and things like that and scheme and all those types of things that you can continue to learn from. But I try to shy away a little bit from they beat them, so we should beat them, that type of mentality.
I guess you guys, as coaches, you're never satisfied per se, but are you pretty happy with the balance you guys have in all three phases at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think that, as we got the season started, in August, sitting here today, being able to look at the product offensively, I'd have to say I feel pretty good about where we're at. Now, can we sustain? Can we build? Can we take it on the road? Those are the things that are still very much to be determined. I do have a sense that my football team's getting better. I've been talking a lot about, you build your program from the top down and from the bottom up, and I got really good senior leadership. I got some veteran players. Got a handful of players that went up to Rhode Island 2 years ago and experienced that game. Then I got a lot of young guys that, are trying to figure out what coach is even talking about when he's talking about that. But they have energy and they have enthusiasm. So there's a nice balance right there right now, I think. And I think the mesh has been really good. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to build on that. And it's in both sides of the ball. And then, with Kyle, his improvements been consistent. And then, he knows he's going to have to go on the road and perform at a high level like he has done here the last 3 weeks at home.
I was looking at this matchup, and it seems like you guys have so many things, I don't want to say that are bad omens maybe, but just things that are definite routine changers. You haven't left the state in 4 weeks. You had a bye week in there. You've got a noon game. It's on the road. It's against an opponent you could potentially overlook. Next week is James Madison. It's fall break for you guys. All those things swirling together would kind of conspire against you. And I know you as a football coach probably know that. So just my long question is, how do you keep your team focused when you have all those things that can work against you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's very fair. I think that, it starts with, my focus and my attention and our attention to detail as a staff and, making sure they recognize the significance of the moment, and as, an older or experienced coach, you've got to be able to communicate that message to your players and they've got to hear it, and we've done it a number of different ways. I met with our leadership council here. I think it was Monday at 5 o'clock, and it was the sole reason for the meeting. And I literally outlined everything that you had mentioned and made it very legitimate and very real that this football team needs to be focused and have an edge. I had an opportunity because of the fall break to do some things on Tuesday that I usually don't do until Thursday. So I outlined the trip on Tuesday. I kind of outlined the schedule on Tuesday. They have somewhat of a unique locker room situation up there at Rhode Island. I offered that in great detail. My video coordinator put together a little PowerPoint that kind of showed the walk from the arena to the field, and so you don't want any surprises. So I think that's part of it. Some things, as you know, fall out of our hands. We are often all baited into certain things or conversations that we kind of know are not in our best interest in this moment. And I've advised my kids to be careful. Don't get baited into talking about something or some game or some event that has nothing to do with our being able to be successful this weekend. So all those things are in play, but that's kind of the reality or the nature of coaching college football.
Coach, your offense has changed over the years, but deep down, I think you've always been sort of a true blue believer in the fullback, whether it be special teams use as a runner or as a receiver. Why is that? You've always sort of clung to him, though many coaches have gone spread crazy.
Yeah. Well, this is a great question, and I think even if you go back to when I first became a head coach at Liberty, we were very two-back oriented. I had a transfer running back, Rashad Jennings, came in from Pitt, and basically I'm putting a fullback in front of him and we're running the ball downhill, and Scott Wachenheim was our offensive coordinator, and I'm going to have tight ends in my program. I mean, I can't fathom being in a program where you don't have tight ends and fullbacks. And I think they do offer the ability to make a statement about your style in terms of what you want to be and how you want to play. And then those body types also offer great value in the kicking game. In my world, if you're a spread team, you're kind of searching for some of those fullback, tight end, YU type bodies to have in your program to do other jobs. Your L4, your L5 on your kickoff team, the wings on your field goal team, just go on and on and on. So I do think it's somewhat of a mentality. And then, to your point, there are certain seasons where you have the makeup of your roster allows you to play another way. And sometimes maybe it goes a little bit against your core beliefs and how you want to play, but my best players happen to be these guys, and we've got to find a way to maximize their ability and their talent. So you may shy away from it in a given year, but I think this year we're kind of almost back to where we started in terms of run game, downhill, under center, play action passes. And if we can continue to have that kind of balance, I would think it will offer us opportunity to be successful.
The Rams gave up 4 touchdowns in every game up until last week. Now, they may be improved defensively, but are they improved that much enough to throw a shutout, or was there a combination of things that helped them there?
There's always a combination. That game against Delaware was eerily similar to our game 2 years ago. And it wasn't like Rhode Island got all the breaks in either the Delaware game or our game 2 years ago, but boy, they got them at the right times, or they capitalized on them when they got them. It was kind of spooky watching it from beginning to end. Having said that, I think they really loaded up to stop the run. In the first half, Delaware ran for maybe 186. In the second half, didn't get much rushing yards, but the game shifted a little bit where Delaware had to start coming from behind. So they really loaded up to stop the run last week, and they certainly put together a great plan to come away with that outcome. I don't know what plan they're going to have for us. Statistically, we throw it a little bit better than Delaware's throwing it right now, so they'd be hedging their bets if they're going to just swarm the line of scrimmage, So we'll see how it plays out, but they had a great plan. They executed the plan, and probably the most specific thing was they tackled well, and that allowed them to have a chance to come out of there with the shutout.
Can you elaborate on that locker room situation? Do you dress in the basketball locker room? or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. It wouldn't be the locker room's not bad. It's just kind of the distance, and it's not totally different than our situation here, except we all use the stadium on game day. So if we were using the Robins Center, the thought of kind of dressing in the Robins Center, walking out there for your pregame, walking all the way back to the Robins Center down to your locker room, and then coming out whenever it's time for the captains to come out. So there's a little bit of a parade that occurs when you are on the road up at Rhode Island. And I just didn't want my players not to know about it. I said, just understand this is what this is and recognize it when you get there.
Do you have fans yelling at you, tailgating?
That happens at a number of places. I don't remember it being too significant the last time we were up there. I will say this, they're going to have a really good crowd. They had a nice crowd the last time we were up there. It's their homecoming, and that's certainly a possibility. You are kind of paraded in front of some areas that you probably would prefer not to be paraded in front of.
As far as Duke?
Probably similar. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been there, but probably similar. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
James Paddock, opening right up for questions.
Winston, what's been the benefit of being at home for so long, and how do you think you've sort of reinforced what you started with this season?
We start off the season with 2 away games, so kind of getting how to understand what the game is like when you go away. I think that was very good, especially for the younger players. And then having those back-to-back home games, you always want to be at home. You have the home crowd there every time a big play happens. It's exciting, get a little momentum going, but at the same time, you have to be ready to play anywhere. So it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Do you guys get the sense that you just had 3 home games? You were favored in all of them. Not taking anything away from your opponents, but do you get the sense that you've held serve in that regard, and now you got to go on the road for the next 5, and this is a different set of games and a different set of opportunities?
Well, I think for one thing, we've kind of established, our kind of brand, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And for us, this is a big challenge to, take that, performance on the road, to show that we're consistent, so this week at Rhode Island will be a, big test for that.
Like you said, yeah, we've done it at home, so we have to kind of just bring it on the road. But also, it's just kind of, we have to just prove what we can do. As I said earlier, it doesn't matter where we're at or who we're playing. We got to have the mindset that we're going to do the same thing no matter where we are.
I was asking Coach Rocco about some of the distractions or things that might be abnormal for you guys, and he said that he is taking your fall break, which should be some extra time for you guys, as an excuse to do some things he doesn't usually do, like everything down to detailing the walk from the locker room. And I'm kind of wondering if the things that he has done to enforce to you that you need to focus even more on this game than anything else has worked so far, or if sometimes coaches just have too much time on their hands.
I mean, I think it really has. Winston and I were both up there when we went up to Rhode Island 2 years ago, and so as Coach Rocco says, you want to leave nothing to chance. So, it's good for the young guys coming up to know exactly what's going on, the whole itinerary, going up to there. And also, with the extra time, it's been able to help with our film study, watch our opponent more and learn more about them.
Yeah, Coach Rocco does a great job of listing out, what's going to happen, even to the time. He'll tell you, the bus is leaving at 5:07, and you have a very exact timeline of what's going on, and that's very key for players, I think. For myself, I enjoy knowing exactly what's going to happen when it's going to happen. It just kind of helps you prepare ahead of time for what's going on. So the extra time is very good. We don't have class or anything, so it gives time to kind of come in here, little team bonding, watch some film, kind of study up on the opponent a little bit more than we would normally have the time to do.
Do you have any time to do anything fun? You guys, get together and watch a movie or something?
Yeah.
Not football?
Yeah, since we don't have class and after football, watching film and everything, you can kind of just go back to your room, your apartment, relax, get some rest, do work if you need to do work for school. It's really kind of just all depends on like the person themselves. So like I know that I had to do some schoolwork, so I caught up on that, and then I had some extra time, so I just kind of relaxed on the couch, watched some TV, got a little extra sleep. It just depends on each individual.
Fall break's nice.
Coach said he is getting away from the common opponent comparison for upcoming opponents. But what can you guys take individually in your position meetings from what they might have done against Maine to what you did against Maine, and what may or may not be successful when you do go up there?
The only thing you can get from watching past games is kind of understanding what kind of play they run, kind of looking at the players, figuring out how they react to certain different scenarios, things like that. But the next game is the most important game. We're not worried about anything else besides Rhode Island right now.
Yeah, and offensively, it helps looking at the main film to see if they have any similar formations and to see how their Rhode Island's defense aligns with them, so we can kind of figure out, which plays we want to run and, what things will be successful in our game.
Hey, James, can you talk about your role as a fullback? Coach talked about his propensity for having fullbacks, and I mean, you've actually gotten to touch the ball. You've scored a touchdown in addition to blocking.
Yes, like the fullback role, it's kind of a dying role, as many people know. But it's also an important one. It's like in the running back room, we kind of say we dictate the kind of the tempo. If a running back or has a big play, then it kind of get the momentum going one way. And one of the way that happens is if the fullback has a great block, or the O line, or the tight ends, or the receivers. It's all a group effort. But it's one thing that's been kind of nice this year as opposed to past years, because our offense has definitely had much more of a balance as opposed to offenses in the past where we're a little more spread type of ideal. But like Coach said, it all matters about our personnel. Like we had some great receivers in the past, and we still do. So now it's just being able to have different ways to attack our defense and attack our opponent.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, can I ask a